Ladies and gentlemen, the first weekend of the Modern Warfare 2 beta has concluded. It is over, and we now await the next 2 days because after that, the beta is back on for another weekend. They're going to be upping the level cap, adding more weapons, things along those lines, and I look forward to playing it more then. And I'm going to say something now that I never expected to say. The third-person mode, actually pretty fun. I never thought I would say that about Call of Duty, but I really enjoyed playing it. I think it's fun. I don't think it's going to be the main thing I play in the game, but it's a fun little break from normal Call of Duty. Never thought I would say that, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about Warzone 2, because with the beta weekend coming to an end, I thought that this was a good time to kind of sit there and give you my opinion on what we saw with Warzone 2. I have to start this by saying, personally, I haven't played Warzone 2. I was invited out to the event. I couldn't make it out there, unfortunately, but I have seen a lot of gameplay, looked at a lot of other people's opinions, and I have a lot to say on the topic, because with a lot of people saying that this is bad, this is good, we need to fix this, we need to fix that, I don't actually think that is necessarily the problem with Warzone 2. I think, like the title of this video, I think the problem with Warzone 2 is it has an identity crisis. And that's what I'm going to try to explain throughout this video and kind of get across my points, the good things, the bad things about what they've added and what they've changed. But let me first hop into some gameplay and explain what I'm saying. So first of all, again, haven't played the game. This is Equal Espresso's gameplay. His channel will be linked down below. Go tell him I said thanks for letting me use the gameplay, so on and so forth. Now, with this game coming out, I think what we are seeing is Infinity Ward wanted to make something new with Warzone 2. They didn't want to just re-release Warzone with a new map, a little bit of changes here or there to the gameplay. They wanted something to feel new and change, which I actually do think is needed for Warzone 2. However, what they have done is pulled Warzone away from Warzone and created an all-new Battle Royale, which, in my opinion, what I think it needed was a bunch of updates that made Warzone better, not changing it. Now that line is very, very hard to draw because you want it to feel like a different game, but at the same time, you still want it to feel like Warzone. And that, I think, is the line that they are having trouble finding, and finding that identity crisis is what they have done instead. And I think there are many reasons for that, and that is what we are going to touch in this video. So there are 3 things that I think they have done very, very well with Warzone 2.0, and I'll go over those very quickly. The new map looks fantastic. I like everything that they have done with it. It looks good. It feels like it plays good. Basically nailed the map. I'm all for that. The new vehicle mechanics are fantastic. I like that you can shoot out vehicles, you can go out the window and shoot out of them, you can fix them, you can repair them, you can refuel them. All big thumbs up in my books. I like the addition of that. The last one, and the one that I think will be a little bit more divisive, is no perks. I like that there are no perks. You can't get them through your loadouts, things like that. The reason why I like that is because there's some pretty cheesy perks. Ghost is annoying, Serpentine's annoying. You know all of the perks that are annoying. With them being removed, maybe being added into the loot pool, it adds a little bit more randomization, and not every game everyone's going to be running Ghost. That is a big thumbs up in my book. I think that is a good thing. Now, the problem with loadouts, don't worry, we will touch on, but all of those things I think are good thumbs up and good additions and changes to the game. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the stuff that is really controversial and people don't like. We're going to start out with the big one. That is, of course, loadouts. The first things first, loadouts are not buyable. You can't go to a buy station, buy a loadout, throw it down, get your loadout, get your perks, get your weapons, get your attachments. That is not doable. What they have replaced that with instead is you can either go to a stronghold and loot a loadout, which I didn't actually see anyone do. You can let me know if someone did it during the gameplay, but I didn't see it. Or you can go to a buy station and buy individual weapons. Now, I want you to keep in mind that the build that everyone played in this game is the alpha build, which means that there's already been a lot of changes that have happened after the build that they were playing. That it kind of explains why some of the stuff was the way that it was, seemed a little bit broken, didn't play properly, and essentially made no sense. Because once people actually went to the buy stations, some of these weapons that you could buy were like $12,000 in game, which is insane. Because when you buy a weapon, your whole team doesn't get it, you get it, which means for your whole team to buy 2 different weapons, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, or at least around there, which is just not feasible in a normal game of Warzone, especially with the loot that we saw. There was very little money to be found. So to me, that just simply didn't make any sense. And I think there's a reason why they're switching this. And I'm going to say something. This is going to be the most controversial thing I say through this whole video. I'm okay with there not being loadouts. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know nobody is saying that, but I think the system that they are trying to implement where you can loot a loadout or you can go to a buy station and buy your weapons with attachments on it, because they did say that is going to be in the game. You can equip your weapons with a bunch of attachments. That just wasn't in the build of the game that they're playing. I'm okay with that. That's actually a good change in my books. It gets rid of perks, things like that. I like that. It just really, really has to be refined. There is no way weapons can cost that much, especially if you're just buying them for yourself, because say you solo queue into quads, there's no reason to share your money. There's no reason to buy people back. People are just going to want to buy their weapons. So there either needs to be an implementation where you can buy a weapon for your whole team. They can go to something and just pick out a weapon. I would be okay if loadout drops were there, but when you dropped it, you only got a weapon. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that change up. I don't think your loadout needs to be what you buy. I'm okay with looting tactical grenades, with looting lethal grenades, with looting perks. Weapons, though, you need to buy weapons, and they can't be as expensive as they are. And the reason for that is that's one of the differentiating factors with Warzone with any other game. Because in multiplayer, you level up your weapons, you unlock attachments, you equip them, you learn what is good on them. On top of that, you buy blueprints. If you can't use your blueprints in-game, they're going to lose a lot of money that way. So you know it's coming. You know that that option is going to be there. The implementation needs to be the important part. It can't be that expensive. So like I said, no loadouts, the traditional loadouts that we saw with perks, lethals, tacticals, I'm okay with that. But there needs to be a way to get your teammates and yourself weapons for reasonable cost that's going to improve the gameplay. That is my opinion on it, and I think the reason why it is how it is in the game right now is for one reason, and we can't understand it yet, and that is DMZ. I think there's going to be a lot of changes once DMZ comes out and how that implements into Warzone. We know it is a part of Warzone. We know it's coming at the launch of Warzone. We just have no idea how it'll work, so to see these things kind of leak their way into Warzone, again, plays into that identity crisis. Now, there's some other little things that we got to talk about. First of all, the spectator cam. I don't think that's one to worry about. People are saying like the little GoPro over the shoulder view isn't good. It will encourage players to hack, things like that. I think the bigger issue with that is you can't see any information on the screen. You can't see like kills, how many people are left, anything like that. That needs to be up on the screen for sure, or at least give yourself an option to choose that first person view. I don't know why that wasn't there, but again, this is an alpha build. Very well could be there, and I almost guarantee you the kill count and things like that will be there at the release of the game. I think that's just an alpha thing. After that, the battle royale factor of it. They have very clearly made this more of a battle royale than Warzone. And I think the most evident example of that is the looting. The backpack looting system, as people are calling it, this isn't really a backpack looting system. I don't like that people are saying that, because it's not like you have to pull up a whole backpack, go through everything, rearrange things like you see in other games. It's a very small backpack, similar to what we already had in Warzone. The problem is, when you actually go to loot things, you have to open up the crate, scroll through the crate, choose what you want to select, and that, in my opinion, is a big problem. That slows down things a lot. That is the backpack looting system, which should really be called the chest looting system or something like that. I don't like that system. It needs to be way faster. I liked when it would drop on the ground, things wouldn't overlap, because that's another problem that they're having in Warzone 2. You kill someone and then you kill another person, everything's overlapped. You don't automatically pick up ammo. You don't automatically pick up grenades that you already have in your inventory. You don't automatically pick up armor. So everything stacks on top of each other, and then you have to sit there staring at the ground trying to pick things up, and of course that's a big problem, once again slowing down gameplay. So that definitely needs to be fixed. You need to be able to automatically pick up, at the very least, ammo and cash, very least. Which brings us to our next point, armor. This is a decision that I don't understand. This is going back to Blackout. Right now, when you start the game, if you pick up armor, you can put on 2 pieces of armor. If you pick up a body armor, then you can equip 3. I don't see a point in that. Just make it the way that it was in Warzone. That's an obvious one to me, where if you pick up body armor, you just get to hold more armor. You don't have to put on more armor. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Too RNG based. Don't like that. I think we'll see that one reverted as well. Now, where it really gets its identity crisis, aside from the things that we just talked about, is with the AI. And this is one that I don't understand why they did what they did with the AI. I get that they wanted to show off their AI, but first of all, the AI didn't look very good. You could see a lot of them just standing around, not really doing much. On top of that, they're everywhere. AI is all over the place, all over the map, not just in strongholds. I think AI needs to be reduced. Just put in strongholds, you get your reward, you get a loadout, you get something for completing a stronghold, and that is that. Other people are complaining about AI showing up on mini maps when you throw a UAV. Yeah, that's annoying. It's going to be very confusing. People are complaining that you can't tell the difference between AI and players. Yep, that's annoying. I don't know what the fix is for that. I think if you just have maybe like 5 strongholds across the map, that's where AI spawn. That is probably the proper solution to that. But having AI everywhere is just strange and changes the gameplay loop so much. Another one that didn't really make any sense to me is the Gulag. Now, everyone I hear talk about this says Gulag needs to just be the Gulag. The 1v1 system, nothing needs to change. I actually somewhat disagree with that. But the system that they put in is garbage. I think it's okay to try out new systems. Again, I don't think Warzone 2.0 should just be Warzone with a new map and minuscule changes. It needs to be different. To keep the game fresh, it needs to be different, but it needs to be better Warzone. It doesn't need to be a different game. And that is where this line comes in. The 2v2 Gulag, it doesn't really make any sense. You're playing with a random player. It doesn't ring well to me, and something needs to be changed with that. However, the looting weapons off the ground in the Gulag could be a cool system if, and only if, when you respawn, you get to keep what you picked up off the ground. It would encourage a different type of play in the Gulag because the more you come back with, the better you are to your team. Like, what if you put cash in the Gulag and then you go and you win your Gulag, you pick up some cash while you're doing it, and you can bring that back to your team? That's an interesting system. That adds to the Gulag. It doesn't just change it completely. But again, needs to be refined. And that 2v2 Gulag kind of sucks. Pretty straightforward there. After this, 3 circles into 1 zone. So this is the new closing of the zone system, how it limits down and then splits into 3 zones, comes back into 1. The obvious issue with that is that if you get caught in the wrong of the 3 zones, you might just be completely alone, no one to kill, no one to loot, and it just slows the game down completely. I think it's a good idea to disrupt campers, but maybe put them closer together, make it so rotating from one zone to another isn't impossible, and maybe that's a gameplay option. Maybe one zone will be better to go to than the other, depending on where it closes. But the way it is right now, it just halts gameplay if you're in the wrong circle, and I don't like that. You can't be slowing down Warzone. The map is already the biggest map to date, so that can be a problem. So essentially, those are all of my gripes and concerns, but again, what it comes down to is that identity crisis. Warzone is Warzone. It'll always be Warzone. However, to innovate on that is to make it better, not to change it. And a lot of the decisions, I think looting is probably the biggest one. A lot of the changes that they have made just take away from Warzone. The loadout system. I don't think changing the loadout system by removing perks is bad for the game. However, making it near impossible to get any of your weapons is bad for the game. And I think if they were to show in a system where you can go in your menu at the beginning of the game and on every single weapon that exists, you can put a loadout on it. You can put whatever attachments you want on it. And then when you're in the game, maybe the zone is in a different area. You can select individual weapons instead of just buying a loadout and only being able to pick 2. I think people might have actually liked that if the price of it was actually good. Problem is, it wasn't. It didn't really make any sense. So the issue there is obviously they're making the game worse instead of making it better and improving on Warzone. They're making it a different game. That is my opinion on it, and I implore you to disagree with me. If you don't agree with anything I said, if you have different opinions, if you want to get your opinion across, that is what the comment section is for, and I want to hear it. This is a perfect type of video to get your opinion across, because what I am seeing right now, if the game was to launch the way it is, I don't think a lot of people would be playing it. But it was an alpha build. They're listening to feedback. This is the time to get it across. So let me know down in the comments if you liked my video. Always appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe, stay up to date, turn notifications on, all of that jazz. But as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
We are